road comes in real close to the Waikato River here. Just before we come to the Gordonton turn off. We'll turn left on Gordonton and then we'll head in through the back, out through to Cambridge and over to Rotorua. So it's just steady as she goes. Of course, because of the rain bomb that's been forecast, I'm riding with a Gore-Tex jacket on that belongs to my sister. So here we are at the Hukanui Golf Course. Been very nice, having a little cup of tea and a break. So we're now heading down a nice, sort of a fairly quiet country road. Don't expect quite so much traffic here. The road, and I saw these beautiful peaches out in the garden here, and I thought, well, there must be a couple of spare ones on the ground. Be nice. It's sort of lunchtime. I'll knock on the door and see if there's a couple of spare peaches. Of course, David opened the door and listened to me, and he said, "Of course, you're very welcome to have some peaches." And he introduced me to his wife, Margaret. And Margaret said, "Well, why don't you come in and have lunch with us?" So we're now going to enjoy a beautiful some poached eggs on toast with fruit juice, and it's really great pleasure to meet David and Margaret today. Margaret is really very, very good.
I'll read it to you.
Margaret's going to read the recipe because she's now given me a hint as to why it's so good. Margaret's secret recipe.
You the whole recipe. Boil for 5 minutes. 1 pound of dates. 3 cups of water. 6 ounces of butter. A dessert spoon of mixed spice. 2 cups of sugar. And a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Well, you cool thoroughly and add 4 cups of flour and 2 teaspoons of baking soda, sifted together. Mix all the ingredients together, and that's when I put in about 4 tablespoons of brandy, and that's enough to make 2 loaf tins. And it says in this recipe bake 1 hour at 350, but it needs an hour and a quarter, I think.
Okay, an hour and a quarter. But it's those 4 tablespoons of brandy that seem to just do something amazing to lift.
It gives it a really good. But I hadn't heard of anybody ever. They used to say when you made a date loaf that you they had a different way of doing it, and I thought, well, this is really a sultana loaf recipe. And I thought, well, why don't I make the date loaf recipe like it? And that's what I did. Okay,
well, it's a very smart, because, I mean, in my years of being in New Zealand, in the past 41 years, I've had a few date loaves, but never anything quite this good. So.
And you sort of give the dates a bit of a stir so they break up a bit before you put all this other in. But it's very easy.
Replace the sultanas with dates. Okay.
And add the brandy.
4 tablespoons.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. As I'm going to make sure that I pass this recipe on to my sisters with Margaret, and the brandy goes in at the very last. So that's the very last step of the whole process. So that is that very secret ingredient. David's a great newspaper man, so he's a man after my own heart. So we're here sharing a bit of the Herald and having a chat about all the current events. And one of David's pet hates is these telecommunication companies that, what do you call it, David?
Fortress mentality.
And what did I call it? Sim locking before, did I?
Yeah, we saw
that. Telecom sim locking. An hour and 3/4 ago, what I saw was these beautiful peaches hanging on the tree, and this is actually what I've come for, and Margaret's just handed over 3 of her prime examples of her beautiful peaches off her tree. So it's about time I got back on that bike and started biking to Rotorua. Well, thank you so much for all your wonderful hospitality, Margaret.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, and I'm hoping to connect with Martingi School Wednesday or Thursday this week.
I'll talk to them on Monday.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to get a little look into David's shed before I go. He's a very reluctant movie star, David. So tell me about the shed of yours.
Oh no, keep my back to you. Oh, I'll leave that.
What's the matter, Spider?
Got all sorts of little
This is just a general
magical tools to
woodwork shop. Yeah.
router bits for woodworking. And we got all the different types of sandpaper, beautifully organised. Screws of every description. So what's your project? What are you working on at the moment? What's the?
I'm making a jig. I'm making a jig so I can use my router for making mortise and tenons. Router
Mhm.
for making mortise and tenons.
And what are they?
And this is the plans. Mortise and tenon is that type of joint. That's a mortise and tenon joint.
Mhm.
And this is plans for making mortise and tenon joints.
So you got that off the internet? This whole.
Yes, internet.
Mm.
Get all this off the internet. I get all my stuff on the internet.
see, that's why newspapers are doomed. They're not going. They can't survive, not long term. When you got all this information that's just
Yes.
freely available.
Yes.
But it looks like you got all the bits and pieces here to create some magic.
Yes, I spent quite a bit on machinery when I retired.
Yeah.
And,
Here's the famous peach tree that attracted me. The orchard. And here we are at 291. So back to on the road. Biking, Buffett to Bluff. Closer to Cambridge, only 12 kilometres to go now, so almost. Got a whole herd of cows here, right by the side of the road. All staring at me, looking at me, going, what's going on? What's this man with the yellow raincoat doing here in our territory? Cows, Saturday afternoon, heading for Rotorua. We will get there. Just gotta keep pedaling. Power to the pedals. 83 kilometres to Rotorua. We're just passing the Cambridge golf course here. It's a mobile station in Karapiro, and as always, just enjoying a little break, reading the newspapers for some chips and tea row with mayonnaise. This lovely Chinese lady has made me some chips, and so I'm all happy, something for my tummy. And I'm reading Mind Food about the Oprah effect, of course, and the story is that one appearance, the Oprah effect, and it talks about Ron LeBurn and the secrets, and so yep, I am enjoying my dinner with Oprah. So here we are, got a place to stay for the night. Must be less than 40 kilometres to Rotorua. Dennis is putting me up in his caravan. Got the bike here in the shed.